I want to talk a little bit more about education, especially for people of color. I know for years, my generation before that, and the one before that, there's been a lot of emphasis on education. And when I say education, I'm not talking about, it has to be so many years of college and this, that, and the other. I'm just talking about the basic things like, reading and math and things like that. Because we live in a society where if you don't have good reading skills, you don't have good math skills, you're pretty much lost. And even though we do have computers that do a lot of the work for us, we hear stories all the time about people hacking into systems or computer servers and things going down. And people are just left helpless. I'm going to give you a little story, and I just remembered this story of several years ago. Back in, I want to say 2004, 2005, something like that. Hurricane Isabel came through the Hampton Roads area. And I'm sure some of you already heard that, it was pretty devastating. I was staying in a, single family home in the area, and we didn't have running electricity for a good week. Some places, in the Hampton Roads area, might have got their electricity, but it would be like 3-4 days before anything happened. But of course, it didn't faze me too much because I had lived in Savannah, Georgia. And if you know anything about Savannah, Georgia, that's in a hurricane area. So by the time Isabel came and I was all grown up, I had already survived like 3 hurricanes. So I kind of knew what to do, and the provisions and things like that. So when the electricity did come back on, I do remember that there was a certain day during the week I went to, I think I had gotten off work, and decided, you know what, I'm not hungry. I want to stop by Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, and get some food. So this particular location was located off of the internet. I mean, not internet, the interstate, I'm sorry. So I said, well, I can go ahead, jump off, go here, get this food, and then jump back onto the interstate so I can head home. And when I did that, the whole inside was closed and it was dark, and I started to proceed. I said, well, okay, it's drive through anyway. It's no big deal. I wasn't looking at going inside. And they had a young lady standing outside, and she was outside, with a pad and paper. And it looks like a little receipt pad, and she was taking the order. So she was going from car to car to car because there was a line. And I placed my order for my food and pulled up. And she said, go ahead up to the next window. So I go up to the next window. And they proceed to tell me, well, we haven't got our computers and everything back online yet. We're doing the register isn't even on, so we have to do this manually. Okay, I'm like, okay, whatever the case may be. So after it was all said and done, they went ahead and did their so-called calculations, the cashier at the window. And when she gave me the total was way off. It was like off by $4. I said to myself, I said, are you sure this is how much it is? I said, because I thought you guys were running a special. Now, remember, the computers are down. This is just to give you an idea of how dependent people are on these computer systems and not retaining the information that the computer is giving them. They had a special on this thing. And then they had some kind of thing where if you add a jumbo drink, it was only $1 extra or something like that. The bottom line is it was like $3 and some change difference. But because the computers were down, the employees had no idea in their minds approximately how much these meal items were. And you had people that were getting out of the drive-thru, pulling over to the parking lot, and they were fussing and arguing because they were either undercharged or overcharged for the food. And I was like, well, what's going on here? And she said, well, the cash registers aren't up, so we can't figure out anything. The only thing we could do is just take your food order and just guess because we can't add it up. So it was kind of weird because I said, okay, well, all right. So I kind of got my food. We got it all settled, and I got my food, and I went home. And I thought about it, and I said, that's kind of messed up. I said, computers are down. And because I said, and some of those people probably been working there for a long time and probably already know how much a lot of that stuff is. So you mean to tell me you can't remember anything as to how much anything costs? You can't even add up the numbers properly so you can charge the people because the computers are down. Your math skills are that limited. And it's a shame. You hear about famous people all the time who get scammed and have all their money taken from them by people that they hired. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some professions that require that you have a team, like a lawyer, an accountant, and the whole 9 yards. But if you don't have a basic understanding of reading, where you can have an idea of what the contracts have to say, you're going to have to outsource and find somebody to do it who you barely know to interpret everything for you. And if it's a situation where you're dealing with a whole lot of money, you should at least have a basic understanding. Once a month, look at the books. Look at your accounts online. Check in and see how it's going and just go through the transactions and make sure everything is okay. I mean, I know you have an accountant for this, but there's nothing wrong every now and then to just check your totals. It doesn't take that long. The way they have these accounts set up online, you can basically point and click and find out what you need to find out in a couple of minutes. As long as you've got your account number and your password, you can log in and see what your balances are. You can look at any given time and see how your money is looking. And if your money's not looking right, you could always click the detail and just go through the list. But there are some people who don't have enough basic math skills to even read a bank statement. And there are people out here in this world that are targeting folks like this. They are dependent on people who are not properly educated in these basic things, and they make a ton of money off of them. Sometimes they charge more money for them than they do the average person. Now, I think I touched on this before in a previous audio. But the thing is that this is your life and this is your livelihood. I hear stories all the time about how people hadn't paid their taxes, or people who travel with large amounts of money. You can't do that nowadays, people. You just can't. You can't have suitcases of money going around in places. Even if you have an entourage and a crew of people that have been with you for years, they know that you've got that suitcase full of money, you got that satchel full of money. There's going to be a point in time where they're going to try to steal that money from you. And you don't have any idea how much is in it. You haven't checked your bank accounts to see if everything's done. You haven't even checked with your accountant to see whether or not your taxes have been paid, if you have one, because you'd be surprised how many high-profile people don't have an accountant. They're letting little JoJo, who is taking an accountant 101 to handle millions and millions of dollars. And he only took one accounting class and passed it. And all of a sudden they're handling millions and millions of dollars, not certified or anything, but because they're family. Oh, little JoJo's smart. Let him handle the money. See? So it's just good for you to have a basic idea of how to handle your own affairs. Yes, if you get too busy and you need to hire people, or your profession requires that you hire a team of people, that's fine. But don't let them be aware of the fact that you don't have any skills, because some people take advantage of that. So, having an education is important in that regard. And also, if you want to make more money, bottom line is that you need more skills. You need more education. And I'm not, it doesn't have to necessarily be college. It could be trade school. It could be apprenticeship program, whatever the case may be. You are going to have to need those extra skills if you want to make more money. That's the way the economy is. That's the way it works. Okay, fine. All right. You want to open up a business because you have a skill. That's great and that's wonderful. But you're going to make a limited amount of money because you don't know how to read and comprehend documents, and you don't know how to handle basic math. So you're only going to make so much. Or you're going to have to wind up taking some of your profits and hiring other people to do basic things that you should know how to do. So look at it like that. Because I know some of you are going to say, well, college isn't everything. I'm not saying that. Some of you do not, you're not interested in a post-secondary education. You may have a business that has a great product or a service and is thriving, and I get that. But even running a business, you're required to know certain things. And with a lot of things being computerized and things like that, you have different programs that you have to use. If you don't know how to read and understand how the programs work, or if you have to deal with anything like accounting or QuickBooks or any type of software program on your own, and you don't know basic math, you could be in a lot of trouble. You can be in a lot of trouble. So if you want to be successful, you're going to have to educate yourself. And there's some people who are already there making 7- and 8-figure salaries every single year. But guess what? You always see them with a book or taking some kind of seminar or training because they're trying to stay on top of their game so they can make sure they can keep what they have and make it grow. So don't get it twisted. Just because you see somebody that's high profile or someone who has a lot of money, you think that they're done learning. No, if anything, they're taking on more information because they know how competitive it is out here in this world. Money is energy, and you have to be careful how you use that energy. So I just wanted to put that out there because, there are a lot of people that are thinking, oh, well, people have got all these education and they don't have any money. Well, guess what? They may not have any education now. They may not have any money now, but because they got all that education and training, they can go out and get a better job in less time, paying more money than you. I just wanted to say that and put that out there. So just figure out a way, level up. Figure out a way to level up. You only got one life. Just saying.